Hello, everyone. I'm used to more handing microphones rather than this. So my name's Gustavs. I'm from Riga, Latvia, and we have a social enterprise called Visas iespējas, which in Latvian means all opportunities. And we're a social enterprise, and we focus on youth. So we're not like a youth organization, but close to it. And I see this is like a lot of insights on technologies, how to use them or not. For us, it's more like a business case study. What are we doing? Because we work a lot with young people, but we do it almost only online. Why? Because we find it nicer and easier. So quickly about us. So we are exactly in between youth companies and youth organizations. We try to compile all opportunities available for young people, because our goal is that every single person can fulfill their potential, and we provide it online so that they can know about it. So we gather youth opportunities like scholarships, exchange programs, trainings, mentorings, etc. We gather work opportunities in largest companies, and we are creating events and training young people. So it's 16 of us at the moment, and I think what's slightly different than most people working with youth, we have an IT team and we have a sales team. And we actually have a lot of people communicating with companies, and IT team is developing various solutions so that we can showcase nice things to the people. The main thing that we have is a website. Essentially, it showcases opportunities, it showcases vacancies, and around 15 to 20,000 people per month visit it. So we are relatively known in Latvia. And up to this point, we have worked with more than 10,000 people, trained more than 2,000, and worked with more than 200 employers. And I'm going to quickly tell about how exactly did we work with them, because I find it fun. So we have had various fundings, but the largest one is this Go Remote funding. And that was an idea that we had just after COVID. And the idea was that, well, there's needs, like not in employed education training, youth, and they are in the worst situation when it comes to employment. And COVID is actually not helping them, but making things worse. So we had an idea that we could train these people into remote jobs, into digital jobs, so that they can actually find work that they can do remotely. So it was aimed for youth 2029 from regions, and mainly focused on remote and hybrid work. And when we talk about remote, we often forget hybrid, but it's super nice because you can go for 1 or 2 days a week to the big city and live somewhere else. So again, we trained people in data science, in marketing, in customer support. We had partners from seven countries, and they trained people as well, or helped us to do it. And we had this interesting process that we researched what exactly do they need. We had online conference, again online, similar to this, but with international speakers, like more international than Lithuania, and everyone participated just from their computers. We had these skill trainings, then we had job speed dating events. I'm going to tell about them in a second. And we then improved it and did it another time. So these are all the trainings that we had, even more. We had a website with remote jobs and knowledge hub. It was financed by these guys. And we had speed dating events. And why I want to talk about speed dating events is because it's an unusual concept. So the idea is that we're matching employees with employers. We're actually doing it in Liepāja on 3rd of October in person. And they are meeting for 20 interviews for each company for 5 minutes. And we have like an algorithm which sorts which one should meet which people. And it's in a really friendly atmosphere, because we realize that one of the main things that young people need is to understand that entering the job market is not that hard. And people on the other side are actually decent people, that they're not the villains. They're not the ones who try to punish you for applying to a job. They actually want to find an employee. So we did it in person, but then we saw that actually making it online works super well. So there you can see there are these tiny rooms with like Air Baltic and other companies, and they are just standing there for 4 hours, and then people come and leave every 5 minutes. So that's essentially how it works. And it's super nice because people do not need to commute to these job interviews. They don't even need to go to one place. If they have 4 interviews, they join for 30 minutes of the event, and then they leave. And companies also, they don't need to go anywhere. It's literally 4 hours of their time, and they can interview 20 people who are more or less like valid for them. And while we are on it, I want to quickly talk about, this is called Gather Town, like a place. And it's like a virtual space where you can meet people, get people to meet each other. And it's 2-dimensional, not in virtual reality. But it's super nice because it's with a lot of these little gamification elements. So for instance, you cannot yell, but you can raise your hand that everyone can see. You can segment that, like in here we can talk and you can hear me, but if you're sitting by the table, you can't hear me at all. So there are these things which for digital space are actually better than for real life communication and for real life interaction. And that's one of the takeaways that I will talk about. After these speed datings, we understood that, hey, there is something more we can do. And we developed this thing which previously was called Job Tinder for several reasons. We renamed it MatchWork. And the idea is that essentially you swipe jobs. You see which companies are interested in people like you, companies see you, and then you meet for a 5-minute interview. So the concept is similar to these speed dating events, but even more digital. And at the moment, it's happening in Latvia. And we're having like 135 vacancies and 1,600 people participating and searching for jobs. And it's happening in a 3-week period because then there is more hype. Yeah, till the 3rd of October. So that's what we do on a daily basis. We try to match people with companies and help them to get real jobs. So this is after the first year. There's more than 5,000 people, 500 vacancies, 150 companies. But I wanted to, my topic was about digital tools for youth. And I realized that many of the things we're using are, for us, common sense, for others, less so. And I could name these tools like for eternity. Like, for instance, we use Slack on a daily communication, a bit of WhatsApp. We all have Google Drives, which is kind of basic but works. Then we have Jira for planning IT tasks and other tasks, Asana for other tasks. So it's a lot of these things. But honestly, just without context, just name dropping. So when we work with youth, there's a couple of key takeaways that I want to tell you about. So one thing that I have heard way too many times is that, well, it's nice that it works for you, but for our youth, yeah, digital doesn't work. They just turn off cameras, they don't care, and they're not engaged. But we have developed these trainings for 200 people virtually being in the same room, with most of them being super engaged. And I think that the main problem is that everyone is used to lectures being boring. And when someone stands in front, it's hard, even for me now, it's super hard to be entertaining. I have only these 2 buttons and my voice. And the problem is that once we get to the digital environment, what we do, we take the same boring thing that we do on the stage and we try to replicate it digitally, which usually it's one-on-one, we copy it exactly the same. So it doesn't get better, it gets even worse, that you don't see my whole body, you see only my screen, my face. And I think the key thing is that whenever we're giving lectures, digital trainings, whatever, we need to constantly keep people engaged, because that's what everyone is used to. And that means both having very dynamic content that people work with. We provide them with real case studies from companies once they're training for a specific skill set. We also break them in much smaller groups, even those 200 people, they're divided in groups of 5-6 people. And then we have 20 mentors looking after them and going from room 1 to room 2 to room 3 and just checking on how it's going. Because, there is a lot to be gained when people don't need to commute, but it's much harder to retain their attention. And I think what often we miss is that digital solutions can provide additional dimension. For instance, now if you want to ask questions or something, I cannot really know what you want to ask. And it's tough. You need to raise your hand, you need to disturb me, something. If we would have a chat here, I would immediately see the questions, which happens on Zoom, and I would immediately answer. Or if I ask like a little question, you can react with emojis or something, which is impossible in real life. And I think we are often missing out on these little things which can engage people in digital environments but are not used in real life. Instead, we try to copy things too much one-on-one. So that's thing number one. Engagement is the key. Second thing, a lot of times, especially when we work with youth, we want to provide them something because we have like a project. So we have this 2 months in which they can train for a specific skill set or that they can learn about professions. But the problem with young people is that they change a lot and they do not care for what we want to provide them for most of the time. Like we try to train like 18 or 20-year-olds about their financial knowledge and capacity, and then when they reach 28, they're suddenly like, oh yes, I need to buy a house or think about cars, so I actually should learn this and understand taxes. And the problem is that, yeah, we approach them in a moment when it's not relevant for them. So what we try to do is we want to make things 24/7 available. So it means that there's always available some video database, article database. We call them books on our website about a topic that you can delve deeper. You can go through 35 articles with like 5 company use cases on how to find the first work. Or you can just read one article and feel satisfied with it. And similarly, that's how we started. We try to combine lists of opportunities and of youth locations that are available, these scholarships, exchange programs, local youth organizations input their trainings, because it's important not that you are reached sometimes by something random, but that you can find continuous source where you can find things when you need them. And I think if you're in a municipality, then partially it's very good to showcase things at all time. Third thing, which I also have heard a lot, is that with digital, there is even harder to make human connection. And I agree. and that means that we actually need to put more effort into making human connections. And how we have found that it works is if we have mentors, that each person has, again, for us, it's digital mentors, but they have a person that they can approach, they can tell their needs. Because again, their needs are changing from day to day. One day they're trying to learn something, another day they're trying to find a job. And mentors can guide people in faster growth directions than we can just without any personalization. And this personalization, I think, is very hard unless we know what to do, and mentors can provide a good feedback loop on what should we be doing. And the nice thing is about digital content, especially trainings, is that why people lose interest so often, is that people just know things. I have learned plenty of random history from YouTube channels. So if someone's going to teach me history, I'm going to be like, yeah, I have heard this fact, and my brain is going to zoom out. And similarly with, like, for instance, marketing or something, there's a lot of content that you know. And if you have some kind of previous knowledge, digital content is much easier to personalize. You can easily skip some parts, you can give them exercises that they can finish and then come back to other parts. So I think personalization together with mentoring is a very, very valuable thing that we have learned in the last couple of years. And what we're currently, Anders is telling me all the time about municipalities, so I had this offer to municipalities. What we're currently trying to do, so one is we're trying to do online trainings. We have this Go Remote program. We're going to extend it to Romania next year, actually. We have these online speed dating events that we want to make. We want to showcase youth places and opportunities, and we are currently thinking of developing volunteer management system. So one thing which is super basic but I really like, so I'm going to quickly talk about, is map and lists with all youth locations, which is active, where organizations can input data about themselves, which gives them like a bit more power, and it also shows on every website, like their website or municipality's website or whatever, so it's embedded, integrated into the site. Another one is opportunities, where also if all youth organizations input opportunities and we add local and international ones, then it's also really nice to kind of, collect them all together. And third thing, I haven't translated this slide, nice. It's volunteer management system. So we have actually thought a lot about how to make volunteering nicer. I have been in several organizations that do volunteering in a massive scale. And we have a good idea on how to reach out to people and how to get feedback from them and kind of have them on call but much faster. Anyhow, that's a long story. For now, I want to leave with saying the last things again. So think about engagement whenever you work with young people. Think about the things that can be available for them throughout the time. Because also what's going to happen if you have some like budget from projects or something, the money is going to run out and you need to understand what's going to be left after. And third, think about how can you mentor and personalize the content so that people actually get the most out of it and possibly go out with a job and with other nice things. So that's it from me. By my table, I'm not sure what we can talk about, but anything you want, I'm an open book. Thank you, and if you have any ideas for cooperation, working with youth, comments, questions, feel free to reach out to me, and we can figure something out. Thank you.